Hi, everyone. Welcome to another edition of Automation in Action podcast. Today, we have Avi Rafalson, the CEO of Doconvert, and Sharon Shafran with the advisor for strategy and business development. A tongue twister there. As the IDP landscapes change radically in the last couple of years with Gen AI, obviously newcomers, and I believe it's in the scope of 400 or so new IDP, intelligent document processing type vendors out there. Certainly we did a quick intro on Doconvert a couple months ago. New UI, new development methodologies, and addressing and challenging the status quo around those legacy IDP providers. So today we have Avi and Sharon on the podcast. Welcome, guys.
Hey, Brent, good to see you.
Thank you for having me.
Thanks for inviting us.
Yeah, wonderful. I'm glad that you're here. So obviously, my first question is IDP kind of a competitive landscape? A lot of players in the industry now, a lot of API first players. You guys actually have an interface and a nice little product. I guess, what's the story of Doconvert? How did you get going, and why? How did you see this market segment as something you wanted to attack?
Thanks for asking. So my first interaction with the supply chain was at my first job after graduating years ago at Intel Fab 28, if you're familiar, one of the factories that produced the most chips for Intel in the world. There was a huge clean room. There was a whole operation that managed it all with massive supply chain. It's about thousands of people, all kinds of roles, an American organization. You're familiar. That was my first time when I was exposed to this subject of manual entry of information from documents. Since then, I worked in several Israeli startups in the B2B space to understand that in order to succeed, you need a platform for B2B communication and how to consume the service. I've been to all touching points like customer success at first, marketing, sales, project management, etc. And then I met my team, my co-founders. Actually, to be honest, they met me. Doron Gal, they're a highly skilled team with many years of experience in the Israeli tech industries. After working together in like 6 years across different companies, they decided to start Design Punters, a boutique firm developing platforms and tools for various clients. First, I met Doron Gal a few years ago while working together on a project where I handled marketing and sales strategy. It was a successful collaboration, and we stayed in touch for professional over the years. The real breakthrough came when they built several tools for large companies like Iskar, if you're familiar, one of the world's largest manufacturer in the machinery industry, a subsidiary of Berkshire Hathaway. They were tasked with development of solution to extract data from complex documents. One of their clients was struggling to process customer orders that varied in structure and content, making it nearly impossible to automate the documents with existing tools that years. While working on the project, Doron Gal realized the solution available were too complex for implement and didn't meet the needs of the mid-market companies. They started to see there was a real business opportunity, like we know, but they knew they needed expertise in marketing sales, and this is when I came in. Given our previous experience working together, I trusted their technical abilities, and so they had something special in their hands. That's how come together to form the core team of the Doconvert, combining their technical, yeah.
Yeah, so that's a great story. So they already had kind of like a prototype of this document extraction utility, and they're like, hey, we don't know how to commercialize this. We know Avi, and that's how the team came together.
Yeah, it's not like a product. It's more like features for like specific kind of documents. Like, sometimes companies having one customer or one vendor that having the most documents. So it was like really specific solutions.
And like, do you have outside investors? Did you bootstrap this yourself? How did that start to work to commercialize and get your first customer?
Um, um, just a second, sorry. Um, yeah, so we're very fortunate to gain early traction with a few leader design partners, our first customers actually, that's still working with us today. This allowed us to take the initial concept and evolve it into product that quickly went into production with 10 customers in both Israel and the US. Because we had the paying customers from the start, we were able to move fast and build something that had really immediate value. This actually early success shortened the time it typically takes to develop an MVP, and that allows us to scale the product quickly, which isn't always easy for startup uh, in the software area.
Yeah, Brent,
It
maybe I
also,
can jump in, because I'm
Yeah, yeah.
working with many different startups. And when Avi reached out to me, one of the things that really stood out is that I said, okay, when you're raising, how much you raise money, because they actually had 10 or more customers. Now they have much more. And they move so fast. And I was like, wow, this is very impressive. There's other companies that take a year or two to figure out what is the MVP, what features. And I think this is one of the things that attract me. And I'm working very closely with Avi, where their ability to come to a customer, show the value in a matter of 30 minutes, and then say, okay, if you want, we can go in production in a matter of 2-3 days. That's a game changer. So I think
Yeah.
they're very fortunate. Now, yeah, you probably will ask later about funding, make it scalable, like all of the other good stuff. But definitely, this team is rocking. It's very interesting.
So how did you get those first 10 customers? Because there's a lot of products that are already out in the market that are proven. And so did you have previous relationships to get 10 customers on a product that's brand new? I mean, obviously, Avi's done a great job. If that was Avi, I don't know if it was you, Sharon. But how did you initially get those customers? And I've never seen, and I have to be impressed because, I've seen and I evaluate a lot of IDP products, and in the amount of time that you've had, I think it was 3 years to
2 years.
develop what, 4 years? Yeah.
No, 2 years.
Yeah, 2 years. I mean, nobody can. I've seen a lot. I've run development. I've never seen anybody kind of put together a product as kind of. It's a really well designed product. So, like, that's unusual. How did you get those customers? Was there a previous relationship?
No, actually, the first design partners are, I mean, all the IDP market is growing from bottom actually, because the use cases are coming from the client itself. With the adoption of new tools like the last year after the ChatGPT has gone to our life, so we really felt like we're giving the value very quick. So people, it's like speaking, talking, it's a small industry at the end. So when people see the value actually very quick, so they want to get more and more. So we felt like we're touching the pain points of the clients and what their needs. And with the growing as an MVP from the bottom without any funding, led us to an efficient product too.
But I think it's more than that, Brent. You are like, I'm just early. I'm literally like 6 months in the domain that you probably have 20 or whatever many years that impressive record. I think also what working for these guys was actually the design and the architecture and the approach they took. Of course, you will have a lot of question about it. This interesting combination of really enable the simple users, no kind of heavy IT organization to bring up this and add more document types and things in a very high accuracy upfront. That's a game changer, and I think that's allowed them to really get trust and scale and bring customer very fast.
Yeah. So
And one
simplistic.
more,
Yeah.
yeah, and one more thing, just to say, we have a zero churn rate. So our clients are getting more volume and more use cases in the platform that can handle various types of documents in different verticals in the organization. So they can handle in one platform the procurement, the client orders, and some import export if needed, the documents.
Yeah, so I guess like in terms of I mean, your model right now is SaaS, and then I would assume if a customer came to you and says, I need to integrate with Oracle, which you've done, you take that on as a professional services project, I assume. So you're doing a lot of
I
custom development around the product.
Not today. I mean, at the start we did it because every time we got a new feature asking and like new streamlining of the process. But today the integration with Oracle make us the bidirectional data, so we can actually have the errors in the Doconvert, fix the data in the Doconvert, and then having kind of compliance and a gatekeeper before the data is pushing to the ERP. And if the spam data is already pushed, so that can lead to a lot of work and looking after the problem and etc.
Yeah, so I guess, like from a sales and marketing perspective, like how do you go after the market? I mean, competing for this type of business, and you said you have some in US, some in Israel, like what's your go-to-market strategy? Is that you, Sharon?
No, I can chime in and Avi can expand, but I think growing to the US, Avi will explain. He knows much better than me the kind of the verticals that he wants. But what I think is interesting is that they figure out a very specific type of customer in specific scale with specific attributes that, from one side, don't have a very large IT team that can take automation anywhere or any other very large scale platform and do major project like you probably are engaged and do things and know very well. And from the other side, they are a bit more complex versus taking a very simplistic kind of situation. And so kind of they found, I think, a very specific market segment that have this need for easy kind of, they are pretty complex. And Avi, if you can explain a bit more about the type of complexity you're meeting. But from the other side, they want somebody that can very quickly be up and running. So maybe Avi, you can describe it in a better way.
It's almost
Yeah,
like
so when there's
low tech companies that don't have a lot of IT resources. And we do that too here because we find that those people will embrace the technology and allow us to do most of the work. It's interesting. So what's your take on that, Avi?
Yeah, so as we focus on the supply chain, so we know that the workflows are complex because of the documents usually, and all the complexity of the supply chain because there is a physical products. So it has to be very accurate. If it's in the procurement, so you need to handle, the documents are coming from vendors, suppliers. So we're processing in the procurement not only the invoices, we can do the blanket purchase agreement automated too. So we can automate and streamline the agreements from the vendors and then push them to the Oracle with the data and actually show in a portal for their organization all the pricing, the description, the images, and everything that used to be complex now to handle, like an agreement with many lines. Or on the other hand, if it's the client orders, when it's very complex and you don't have past information like PO in the procurement, so and each client is having a different structure, so that leads to a very complex. But if you make it simplistic, like you said, with Doconvert, so we can handle that kind of complex documents very easy. From the email, we can digest the data into the ERP in seconds, things that took like days, sometimes hours. It depends on the complexity. And the third one is the import-export files that are complex by themselves, and the complexity of checking in different document types make it more streamlined and more efficient from our side.
Yeah, I think
So
I saw on LinkedIn intelligent document processing. The guy Philippe, he makes a article. He said there's 50% of all Gen AI prototypes or POCs never get to production, and I think your approach here is like we can get you up and running into production really quickly with not a lot of complexity, and that's kind of, I think, your value add. I mean, it's a lot of Me Too type feature functionality from the perspective of inputs and processing and classification and outputs. I mean, pretty much everybody does that. Obviously, commercials are different, but I think what you're saying is that, you know, the simplicity and the ease in getting past a POC into a production environment is going to be quick and easier than most monolith type applications.
It's not only that, it's that we don't change any business process in the organization. We just go inside and take it from the email in the data ingestion or API. It depends on the company. And then with the bidirectional integration with the ERPs, it's very simple because this is how we get it in like few hours or days.
Yeah,
The value.
And Brent, I think you bring something very interesting. Right now, you have a huge, and you started with this. There's like so many people that say, "Oh, I can take just like ChatGPT or other LLMs and just quickly build the company and take documents and convert them." And I think you know better than us that that's not good enough, right? From an accuracy, from how you integrate with with the business processes. When it starts to be a bit more complex or kind of muddy document, everything just break. So one of the things that when I started to engage with the team was interesting for me is the technology approach they took for kind of the algorithms and the machine learning and the platform approach they took. One thing they decided is they're not going to use public available LLMs as is. And one, because of kind of they don't need such a complex beast, but also the cost.
Security.
Right? Exactly.
Oh, cost and security, right?
Cost, security,
Yeah.
everything like, and so they developed their own models, very lean and mean, that very focus on the job that they need to do. And if you take this approach and you take the template, I think Avi can describe it in more details. But they actually, you remember there was a lot of, before the machine learning, all of that, you had like more templates approach, like historically. So they decided like, let's bring these two together with the slick UI that you showed that allow simple user. That's becoming like a very powerful triangle from a technology stack that allow them to, as you mentioned, not just do it from a cloud, but also do it on-prem, which you have a lot of customers for sure that are very hesitant to take their documents to the cloud these days, right?
Yeah, I mean, it depends on the industry, right? Typically, AP invoices don't have a lot of personal identifying information or health information, certainly more in medical, but yeah, there's certainly the, you know, like pharmaceutical and those type of invoices and things that would, do you get like the concept template? And I know you use that, and it's kind of like a template, but it really isn't, because it's, you know, like a template, it sees what it gets and it extracts it. But like in the case of an invoice, you have line items that span multiple pages. Do you think like template is the right synonym for that, for what you do? I mean, it's more like a layout. Do you get any, I mean, do people, when you're pitching it, it just solves a pain and they don't really care about the UI and all that, and the terminology and the taxonomy you use? Or are you thinking strategically about how you can, because Gen AI isn't template based, like just some of the naming conventions you use, are those, have you thought about any of those types of things?
Yes, sure. The thing is with like if you put a document and then you do a post process, if you have like extracted the USD, but to push for the ERP, you need the dollar sign. So you need to do post process. So if you throw the document and it's not a template, so you can't really keep the rules. But if it's a template that's already built by himself, and you can add the rules on that with the post process or anything other, like the you know, like sometimes it's not like straight lines like in the invoices around the supply chain, so then it's getting more complex. I mean, you have already
Right.
the rules that already exist, so he can classify and actually extract the data and get it into accuracy with much easier way without any touching the platform, because you already pre-trained it by yourself. So it's not a
Yeah, it's
template.
really not
Maybe we need to,
template. Yeah.
yeah, maybe we need
Yeah.
to find another word for that. But
Yeah,
yeah,
Neural
we'll
model.
take you, Brent, as a like expert to give us new names for the acronym.
Models.
Right.
It's all
models.
models.
No, but models is general. I mean, if you have like a client that sending type of orders and you wanna get the rules for that kind of, like if you wanna translate the SKU, if you want to get the specific location, because he has maybe several branches and you need to know to where to send it. So you have all the rules that pre-trained for the document.
So, and I don't know how much you want to share, but like from a like to spin up a product like this in two, I mean, it's got to cost millions of dollars to get there. What's like, what kind of investment needs, like, if I'm someone that wants to start an IDP company, like, is that a $3 million investment? Is that a $5 million investment? I mean, are you guys like profitable at this point? I mean, you already had customers, which helps fund the development, but like, what's the size and scope of starting something like this?
So we generated revenue very quickly, as I described before. So that's the revenue helped us to expand with the client and the new markets and develop new version and like new technology. I think Dorengal having a big thing in that, because like with the skills and the knowledge that they have. Um, Together with the efficiency that we don't only give to the clients, but we do with ourselves. So that led us to the bootstrapping till today.
Yeah, and I
So
think
you got, yeah.
Brent, yeah, you're right. So I think Avi, if you speak into the future, right now the investment and the funding that Avi is bringing in will help to really scale the platform and also scale all the go-to-market because as we bring more customers, and Avi can speak about the pain, is like you need customer success, you need all the bells and whistles, right? So customer will
More support, customer
yeah.
success, project management, professional services, of course, yes.
Yeah, all
You
the
There's
things
a
that
lot
people
of
don't
yeah.
want to speak about, right?
nobody wants to work for free, certainly. So I know that that's expensive, and having kind of been involved in a startup myself, I just know how hard it is. And we did it with no funding, and we just outsold everything. So I guess from a strategy perspective, I mean, how do you differentiate? I mean, in a market of 400 plus, I'm not talking about the Tungsten, Abbey, open text people that have been around forever. I mean, there's this kind of, I call them newcomer IDP. There's so many. And we talked about simplistic nature, but I mean, what are some, and I saw you post on X, previously Twitter, brewing up some thrilling new ideas. This was back in September 4th, actually still in the same month. Curious, I mean, I don't know if you could share, and I'm not going to push you on that, but, what are some of these cool ideas? I'm interested, I'm excited about some of that stuff. Can you share anything that's kind of coming out?
Yeah, I can share some thoughts and things we're planning. Yeah. So as I told you, yeah, we understood with the bidirectional connection, we can not only we can do not only the extraction, but we can do the compliance and kind of a gatekeeper for the data. So when we have the data in the ERP, we can actually compliance on the amount of the goods that received. We can have the SKU if it's in the system, the vendors, the discounts, the agreements. So we can do compliance actually for many things, not just the data itself, but we are understood that we have a metadata that is building while we're using the product. Let's say a client order, they never thought like when they send it and when it's ready, because someone is taking a break, drinking a coffee. Yesterday I had a bad day, so it's taking time. But now we can really know like when they send it and when they receive, and even when we get the payment. So that things like we didn't know before, and with the
So like
connections and
so more autonomous AI type tasks that can be executed without a human.
Yeah, yeah.
exactly.
This is a concept that I like very much because I coming from very different domains. The ability to, for example, Brandon, maybe you'll come with for us with other use cases, right? It's like, you have a specific price list for different customers, right? and the customer coming and send you a purchase order, and the purchase order doesn't align with the pricing. So in a typical case, you just go enter the information into the ERP, and then, or you actually, it's going through, or there's some rules in the ERP. Here, you actually can block the PO before it's going into the ERP, automatically send back a letter or email, like whatever, to the customer, say, hey, you used the old price list, you should use the new price list, resend the PO, we are not taking the PO, and human is not in the loop, right? And so there's a lot of interesting use cases with the concept that Avi and the team came by really having a platform that digitized the full process, not just take a document, turn it to numbers and push it to a database, really have a platform that can do all of these bells and whistles. I think that will be a game changer, definitely.
Yeah, are you guys also, I mean, with the whole pre-trained, pre-built models that are so evident in common use cases like invoices, procurement, contracts, health forms, things like that. So I know you have because I did a demo, Avi did a demo for me, so there was like a pre-built invoice one. Where are you going to add any of those common use case models? So that you can go to, instead of having to pre-train some invoices or templates in your environment, it would just kind of do it. Is that on the roadmap at all?
Yeah, sure. I mean, we understand that each client having his own needs, and we can seamlessly build it while he's doing um, the first engagement, so we can actually walk him through the things. And when ask a question, are an IT, are you an account manager, who you are, what's your needs, procurement, import, and then we can build in the back his needs, and he can get a kind of customized platform without any touch of the team.
And I think, Avi,
Yeah.
what Brett, I think what you also refer to is the ability to build a kind of a library of templates that based on
Yeah.
machine learning,
Yeah.
that if you are a SAP, have a SAP ERP, and already they have 5, 10 different or 100 SAP ERP based kind of companies, definitely the templates behind the scenes can be used, of course, without the customer data, whatever, but building a very large library of reused kind of capabilities. Yeah, definitely, Brand. This is the underlying things that the team is evolving as we speak. Yes.
Yeah, because we love that. I mean, we sell a couple other IDP solutions, and Microsoft has 10 or 12 already pre-built, and they allow us to consume those at much lower per page cost than a custom model. So building LLMs and models internally is great, but we like it because we don't have to build the model; it just is already there. So you can kind of consume that now in Power Automate, you can in Azure, and so I think it just allows you to go to market quicker without having to build your own models.
Sure.
But everybody's a little different, certainly. I saw back in August, Meyer Cars and Trucks. It was the first self-service procurement solution. So was that kind of what you were talking about? It's not the first one ever, but I think probably you were saying it's the first self-service procurement solution for Meyer Cars and Trucks. Is that accurate? So that's one of the
Uh,
customer.
yeah, I mean, in Oracle, I mean, it's the first with Oracle too, because they don't have the automation already. That's the blanket purchase agreement that I told you, that we
Mm-hmm.
are digesting the agreements, extracting the data, adding more information like categories, because they have 100 categories for each, because it's a big group of with several companies in there. So this is what we automate. We are digesting the agreement, adding more data from tables and everything that we're doing, and then we're pushing it after human in the loop into the Oracle. Sometimes we can open a new blanket purchase agreement. Sometimes we can update. We can choose which lines to update in the purchase agreement, and that can save them a lot of time, money, and again, the accuracy of the pricing is another thing for them. It's another advantage that they can use for all the group that they have.
Yeah, so in terms of I guess, any type of integration, maybe it's just more strategic, Sharon, but like, do you go to Oracle now and say, hey, we got a full bidirectional integration and try to get an Oracle partner to maybe system integrator? You're smiling, so I assume you are.
You bring a very good
They
point.
came to us. They came to us, to be honest, Mayor and Oracle. So, yeah.
Oh,
But I
how
think
did
more
they find
strategically,
you?
Grant, I
Oh,
think more strategically, we will have this opportunity, like the vendors start to hear about us, and they will come and say, can you enhance the integration you have, because we have new features, new capabilities, we can do things together. So we start to see, I think the idea of having predefined bidirectional integration is critical for our success. And I think Avi and the team started to build a roadmap to bring, and I think it will be very specific to the verticals that we're going to aim, right? Because you know better than us that in specific vertical, people using specific set of ERP system, and sometimes you have kind of mid-sized companies that are focused on these areas. So this is an area where we may pick your brain on, which one we want to pick next to focus on.
yeah, I mean, ERP is kind of connected with IDP because the reality is if you're going to spend the money on extracting all that unstructured, semi-structured data, you might as well push it to the ERP system, else, I mean, it makes no sense. So, yeah, they kind of come together, we've seen, and certainly there's a lot of SAP, Oracle, Workday, Dynamics, and I think you almost have to pick an arena or an ecosystem and kind of get really specialized there. I think it's impossible to be good with everyone unless you integrate it with like Workato or some other iPaaS that just would allow for that to happen. But I think you're smart, and I would focus on Oracle. I mean, certainly that's kind of different. That ERP is really high end compared to kind of your more simplistic kind of. I mean, Dynamics 365 might be a better, more aligned with your mid-market kind of target. But I guess ultimately, long term, like, when you get investors, that typically pushes you in a direction of exit. Clearly, this started as a passion project. You were lucky enough to get 10 customers, which is hard to do. You have a good product now. I mean, is the end result here to sell and get out, or is it to grow and kind of fertilize, so to speak, your product and company?
So to be honest, Doconvert is much more than a passion project. We're building a long-term growth. The goal is to create a platform that anyone, whenever it's in IT or consultants, are easily can deploy and without need of direct support from us. We're focusing on making the product no code, as I told you, with AI-driven templates and user-friendly interface, so user can get up and running quickly, and that's mean a scale. Within the next 18 months, we aim to reach a point where customers can install and implement Doconvert with just virtual training, making it highly scalable. So we're here to stay and grow and make the platform that we're dreaming for.
Great. Obviously it's been a pleasure talking to you. As someone that's been in the industry and, having the moxie, so to speak, to start a new company in a competitive market with technology that's changing weekly. It's good to see that you guys are, surviving and thriving. I guess, last thoughts on, kind of where you see in the next 5 years for Doconvert, not so much from a feature functionality standpoint, but more from a, do you see you opening offices in the U.S.? I mean, are you going to get to be multi-tenant, so your infrastructure costs are going to be down? Like, where are you in 5 years?
So in the next 5 years, we envision Doconvert becoming a fully comprehensive platform from automating documents workflows, especially in the supply chain management and compliance. Our goal is not only to automate, but also ensure that all documents are validated, as I told you, and compliant before they enter the ERP. So for that, we want to expand to the US market with our AI-driven capabilities to offer real-time insight to help companies improve supplier behavior, operational efficiency, and risk management. By focusing on these areas, we aim to become a critical part of the business's operations.
So are you doing a direct or a channel strategy or both when it comes from sales
Yeah,
or
maybe I
sales?
can just jump in. I think we're doing both, right? So it started as a kind of a direct, getting close to customer, understand the features, and I think the team is doing marvelous job to keep this direct touch. I just spoke with probably half of the customers like in the last few months, and this very kind of close relationship helped them to kind of go the right direction and not lose the kind of the true north. I think definitely they have to bring and build a channel strategy. You cannot scale, better than your brand, that to scale across vertical, across geos. And so it will be a channel. It will be probably a bit more complex because there's different potential channels that can play in this. So we started to build this, and once kind of from a maturity next year, probably we'll start to have real channels that start to kind of promote our products. Yeah.
That's great. Probably some OEM, maybe even too. I mean, I can see you embedding the technology in a line of business of some sort, and then those are the best because you just get paid and it's embedded in their product, and they have to do it, and so those are always are good types of relationships. So very interesting talking with you guys. Yeah. Please.
Yeah, I just want to add that we already have some partners that already are deploying our engine of the OCR actually in white label. So we already have that channels that's working on actually this use case in the PDFAU in the Europe. But yeah, we will expand
PFU?
it to
PFU?
PDFAU.
Oh,
PDFAU.
PDFAU. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I've never heard of that. Yeah.
No, it's not
Interesting.
No. Yeah.
Oh, it's a standard?
Yeah, it's a standard documents when you make them accessible. When they read the text,
A. Oh, yeah, PDF
A.
A. Oh, okay.
Yeah, PDF.
I
Yeah.
thought, okay.
Yeah. So
I Yeah, very cool that that you're, obviously you want to have various channels, right? You can't you almost have to ham and egg it when we call it ham and egg. It was basically the ability to incrementally grow and find opportunities that get you the next step, and it seems like you've done a really
yeah.
good job doing that. I mean, that's the hardest thing is selling and finding leads, and I know you business development, Sharon. I mean, we use obviously tools like this podcast and others to become experts in the industry, and then people feel comfortable coming to you and working with you. I guess credibility is almost everything, and I think you guys have done a really good job. Yeah. Well, I appreciate you guys on the podcast. Any parting words?
No,
Or
just
not?
Waiting for
thank
the.
you so much for having us. It was
Yeah.
very exciting conversation. Actually, Avi, we need to, get Brett to really help us with the acronyms and channels and other things. So, hey, let's stay in touch.
Always,
Yeah.
yeah, always willing to help you guys. I know we shared some high level feature functionality like must haves, and always happy to consult with you guys, and appreciate you jumping on the podcast today. And if somebody wants to find you, doconvert.org, or is it doconvert.com?
.co.
Co. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's
Yeah.
doconvert, but it's one C .co.
Yeah.
And very good. If you obviously Avi and Sharon, they're on LinkedIn. You certainly can find them there. And if you have trouble doing that, you can certainly reach out to us at piftech.com, and we can put you in touch with Avi and Sharon. So thanks, guys. Have a great
Thanks, Brian.
rest of your day. Take care.
Bye. Thank you very much.
Bye.
Take
Thank you.
care.